Should you be allowed to govern if you have no idea how the government works? If you're happy and you know it, are you Rick Santorum? How can you trust important healthcare decisions to people who don't understand words like all and free? For May 15th, 2015, from the stylish high-tech underground studios of Ribbit Media in It's Raining Tree Sap and Caterpillar Poop, Cranston, Rhode Island, this is NewsUndies. For May 15th, 2015, this is NewsUndies, all the news that shouldn't be news. I'm Paul Torville with these headlines. An organization which calls itself the Healing Church and describes its followers as Judeo-Christian cannabists has obtained a permit to assemble at the Roger Williams National Memorial on 284 North Main Street in Providence, Rhode Island, on May 23rd for a church service. Church spokesman Alan Gordon told the Providence Journal that the service will include cannabis! Interestingly, the Free Exercise Clause of the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and the Federal Religious Freedom Restoration Act seem to support the use of otherwise controlled substances if they are integral to established religious practices or traditions. Adding to that, Rhode Island permits medical marijuana, but not recreational use. And federal law says any use or possession of marijuana is illegal. So, this should be interesting to see how it plays out. The recent Conservative victory in the UK general election means that the Tories can govern without a coalition. Not that the majority of American viewers can make any sense of this, but taking a moment to review what conservatism is and what it means for social and societal progress might be in order. Conservatism is defined by the Random House Dictionary as 1. The disposition to preserve or restore what is established and traditional and to limit change. 2. The principles and practices of political conservatives. Collins English Dictionary defines it as 1. Opposition to change and innovation. 2. A political philosophy advocating the preservation of the best of the established order in society and opposing radical change. This seems to be all that should have to be said about conservatism. Personal conservatism is fine, just like personal religion is fine. To make conservatism a matter of public policy is to retard the society and reduce or eliminate opportunity for all but the wealthiest citizens. With a major election coming up in the U.S., this would be a great time for people who currently count themselves as conservatives to sit down and actually evaluate what the impact and consequences are of opposing change and innovation. Spoiler alert! Conservatism necessarily and by definition retards social progress. The decline of organized religion in the U.S. continues. Hooray! According to a new Pew Research poll, in the last 7 years, the proportion of Americans identifying as religiously unaffiliated leapt from ranking below all major variants of Christianity to surpassing both Catholics and so-called mainline Protestants. Even the popular evangelical Christian brand saw a nearly 1% decline in market share for the same period. While this is encouraging news, that still means that more than 60% of Americans still identify as Christian, and the ones who appear to be holding on with the greatest vigor are the ones who pose the greatest danger to social progress. Swell. Two more places not to live, Nepal and Georgia. Nepal may seem obvious, what with the ground shaking like it's trying to dislodge an infestation of fleas. As you may have heard, a magnitude 7.3 quake hit the area on Tuesday, and geologists are saying that Tuesday's temblor is an aftershock of the 7.8 magnitude quake that happened April 25th. Governments from around the world have given nearly $100 million in relief money to Nepal, of which the Vatican gave a staggering $100,000. What do you figure that works out to? one big U.S. city archdiocese collection plate take for what? A day? Maybe 2? And isn't it their God who did this in the first place? The Pope is Christ's vicar on earth. Seems to me he should be answering for this. And Georgia. Why on earth would I not want to live in Georgia? Well, on Tuesday morning in Greensboro, Georgia, 43-year-old Roosevelt Champion III was found hanging from a tree in a yard of a house that was not his. Champion was African American and found hanging by a type of plastic strap. Authorities have stated that there was nothing to suggest foul play, but the Georgia Bureau of Investigation has stated that Champion's body was found with his feet touching the ground and his knees slightly buckled. Now, I'm no lawyer or criminologist or smart person or anything like that, but I think the hanging by a plastic strap from a tree bit strongly suggests Champion didn't die of natural causes. Either he put himself there, or he was put there by someone else. Since his feet were touching the ground and his knees were buckled, based solely on the limited information available so far, it seems to me unlikely that this was a suicide by strangulation. That requires a tremendous amount of discipline to resist the urge to just stand up and relieve the crushing strain on the throat. I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I mean, David Carradine and Michael Hutchins come to mind. It just seems very unlikely. Even more unlikely is the accidental mode of death. Oops, hung myself from a tree. How clumsy of me. So, if it wasn't natural, accidental, or suicide, what does that leave? Homicide. A homicide reminiscent of antebellum South, a period some rather vocal people in that area seem to recall with great admiration. So, yeah, I'll just go ahead and skip that. Thanks. Hey gang, it's time for celebrity birthdays once again. Let's rock. For the 9th, Tony Gwynn, dead. For the 10th, Nancy Walker, dead. For the 11th, Chang and Eng Bunker, dead. For the 12th, Yogi Berra. For the 13th, Magic Dick. He's the harmonica and saxophone player for Jay Giles. You knew that, of course. The 14th, Fab Morvan. And for the 15th, Brian Eno. That's Celebrity Birthdays. I'm Paul Torval, and I'm done! Mott the Hoople, still to come. It's horrible, but I can't look away. Is there anything you won't buy? And can we at least get this guy a participant ribbon? Religion. The headlines continue to be dominated by train wrecks. And no, I'm not talking about the one in Philadelphia this week. I'm talking about the social and intellectual train wrecks that constitute the voice and action of the Republican Party in the United States. Here's a quick rundown. Glenn Beck warned his audience to prepare for when he will be disappeared or silenced by the government. You know, the one that protects his right to foment unrest among the easily led. Retired neurosurgeon and 2016 GOP presidential nomination hopeful Ben Carson stated on Newsmax TV that he knows how the Constitution works. Quote, "The president is required to carry out the laws of the land. The laws of the land come from the legislative branch. So if the legislative branch creates a law or changes a law, the executive branch has a responsibility to carry it out. It doesn't say that they have the responsibility to carry out a judicial law," end quote. Except the Supreme Court is the final arbiter of what laws are and are not constitutional, and therefore, yes, the president is bound by the rulings of the Supreme Court. A man this ignorant of how government works should not work in government. Former U.S. Senator from Pennsylvania, Richard John Rick Santorum, spoke at South Carolina's so-called Freedom Summit last weekend. What he said is unimportant. What is important is the choice of entrance music that played as he took the stage. Pharrell Williams' Happy played, as Santorum gave a quick demonstration of the traditional dance of his people, the bottom lip bite step and clap. Williams has stated that he supports marriage equality and women's reproductive rights, which puts him directly at odds with Santorum's stance on those issues. And like so many Republicans, Santorum fails to see the irony in that. Former U.S. Representative from Florida, Allen West, not to be confused with former Batman star Adam West, who's cool and self-deprecating, wrote a blog post on Monday titled, "More Ominous Signs of Christian Persecution," in which he spun a fascinating yarn about his trip to a Dallas-area Walmart supercenter with his daughter, whom he calls one astute young lady. While at the store, they observed that a cashier at the store had a sign on his register that said, "No alcohol products in this lane." And let me just say this, I've never seen alcohol in a Walmart, but that's probably because I'm a New England liberal and have never left the isolated echo chamber of commie, peace-love dope, hugs solve everything, politically correct, elitist, intellectual inbreeding. No, wait, that's not it. West didn't want to go into too much detail, but he did say that he put on his glasses so that he could read the cashier's name tag. And, quote, "Let me just say it was not Steve," end quote. Well, was it Olaf? Moshe? Jesus? Gosh, Alan, what on earth could it have been? West then related that his daughter, the astute one, remarked that it is unfair that a company like Walmart has to bow to the religious restrictions their Muslim employees face, but a Christian business owner can't not serve people whose lifestyle they disapprove of. That qualifies as astute? 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, Section 1, the Equal Protection Clause, which states, "All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws." Huh? You, Alan, as an individual citizen, are free to feel persecuted, express bigoted opinions, and not invite homosexuals into your house. All day. Walmart is not a citizen. It cannot be jailed for its wrongdoing. It is not alive. It has no conscience. And that's why we have labor laws, to ensure that all employees are treated fairly and are granted reasonable accommodation for special needs they may have, such as physical handicaps or religious observances. And while you're reading up on the 14th Amendment, may I direct your attention to a couple relevant Supreme Court cases, Romer v. Evans and Lawrence v. Texas. Links in the description. Read it and weep. Verizon announced on Tuesday that it plans to buy internet dinosaur AOL for nearly $4.5 billion. Why? Well, while AOL actually owns a number of internet media brands you probably bump into regularly, such as the Huffington Post, Engadget, and TechCrunch, and MoviePhone, while it may seem that Verizon was going after these hot properties, and maybe AOL Instant Messenger, and 2.1 million dial-up subscribers, no. It's far more likely that Verizon was interested in AOL's vast stable of advertising platforms and video production and delivery systems. Thankfully, there are no obvious glaring conflicts of interest in this deal. How long will it be before we see Ariana Huffington product placing the latest Verizon wireless smartphone on HBO's Real Time with Bill Maher? When can we expect the next Verizon bashing article on Engadget? Only time will tell. The Department of Health and Human Services provided clarification on Monday with regard to the contraception mandate of the Affordable Care Act, indicating that insurers must provide at least one option for each type of the 18 FDA-approved contraception methods at no cost to the insured party. Is this executive overreach? Here are Pig and Sheep with their thoughts.
Absolutely. The Obamianists and their pro-Muslim agenda are working to eliminate us Christians by making it so we have to pay for our own genocide. What's next? Are they going to make us dig our own graves too?
Wait, what? No. Ha!
All this guidance does is ensure that the definitions of all and free that the insurers use jibe with the letter and spirit of the law. Apparently, in some states, Aetna, Cigna, Physicians Plus, and Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield interpreted all to mean some, and free to mean, well, not free. Go figure. Maybe if their understanding of language and economics is so sketchy, the insurance business is not for them.
That's what Pig and Sheep think. What are your thoughts? Email them to ovcomments@newsundies.com. And now for the week ending May 15th, here's Paul Torville with your exclusive PastCast Weather. Here's your exclusive PastCast Weather. The Pacific Northwest had a few showers, and it was cool. The California coast, sunny and warm inland, AM showers and sprinkles, PM sun on the coast. Between inland and the coast, couldn't tell you. New England, they had showers and sunny, and it was seasonable, which is kind of nebulous, and I apologize for that. If you were depending on something more specific, I guess you're screwed. I'm Paul Torville. That's your exclusive PastCast Weather. It's the quiet ones you gotta watch. Still to come, proportionality should be a guideline for war, and they'll fix you. They fix everything.
Soot. You've been hearing a lot of not-so-nice things about soot. Mostly from tree-hugging, dirt-worshipping pansy liberals and people who think breathing is important. They will talk the ears off your head, droning on and on about wind and solar and renewable energy. What they don't tell you is that soot built America. Our modern post-industrial society owes everything to soot. If it wasn't for coal-fired power and diesel-powered transportation, America would grind to a halt. That's a fact. And as long as we have anything to say about it, and as long as there's profit to be made in government subsidies on soot, we're going to do everything we can to keep it that way. We're America's soot industry. Profitable, ugly, traditional, American.
And now, here's Moose Weintraub with the Sports Half Minute.
Moose Weintraub Sports Half Minute. It's a whole half minute of sports. 30 seconds of sports. Moose Weintraub Sports Half Minute.
This is your Sports Half Minute. I'm Moose Weintraub. The New England Patriots were fined $1 million and Tom Brady received a 4-game suspension following Deflategate. The Patriots retained their 2015 Super Bowl victory. Seems fair. And it just goes to prove that old maxim, cheaters never win.
Thanks, Moose. Always a great report from Moose. Michael Kevin Meadows, 43, of West Virginia, managed to save police a fair amount of time by not successfully robbing a pharmacy in Beaver, West Virginia. He also saved everyone a whole lot of pain and suffering by not attempting the robbery with a firearm or other potentially deadly weapon. Security video shows a man believed by authorities to be Meadows entering the pharmacy wearing a paintball mask and full camo. He then pepper sprayed employees of the store and walked, are you ready for this? Right into the cloud of pepper spray. He immediately exhibited symptoms of being affected by the spray, staggering out of the store, hopped into an SUV, and drove off. The driver of the SUV spilled the beans on Meadows, and Meadows was promptly charged with attempted robbery. George Zimmerman, that Teflon-coated asshole who exploited Florida's ridiculous stand your ground law to get acquitted of the murder of Trayvon Martin and has since been an unrepentant jerk, well, all that sowing has apparently, finally, led to some reaping. Zimmerman was reportedly slightly injured by broken window glass as someone reportedly shot at Zimmerman through the passenger side window of his Honda Ridgeline. Matthew Apperson, whom Zimmerman had stalked and threatened back in 2014, was charged in the shooting. Apperson had called the police about the stalking and threatening incident last year, but declined to press charges. At the risk of seeming judgmental, that was a dumb move. Charges! Press charges! Why doesn't anyone press charges against this frickin' idiot? Like, hydraulically press charges. And finally, and I do mean finally, we all saw this coming, didn't we? The Albuquerque, New Mexico Police Department responded to a domestic violence call on Sunday, Mother's Day. Nice touch. Police learned that the man they were after had ducked into a house on Hiawatha Court, and they quickly besieged the house. Hours passed. They placed over 200 phone calls to the man's cell phone and sent him over 100 text messages, to say nothing of the constant exhortation via bullhorn that he should give himself up. Nothing. Not a peep. Then the SWAT team shows up, sends a piece of heavy equipment, alternately described as a robot, to search the house and more directly encourage the man to come out. While the robot was doing its thing, the SWAT team was lobbing flashbangs and tear gas grenades into the house. Eventually, the man was found in an old TV cabinet. The robot dumped him out of it, and the cops retrieved him and took him downtown. The as-yet unnamed man faces a variety of charges, including felony domestic violence. Really, he should have demanded a 6,000 SUX before the SWAT team showed up. Who knows? They might have thrown in a Blaupunkt. Well, that's all for this edition of NewsUndies. If you see news that shouldn't be news, you can submit your story tips online at newsundies.com or on Twitter with the hashtag NUSTip. NewsUndies is a weekly show. We'll be back on Friday, May 22nd with fresh undies. If you like this video, please like this video. If you like the show, please spread the word. Got a question, comment, or suggestion? Leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, circle us on Google+, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, ignore us on MySpace, tell your friends, and buy NewsUndies Kitsch at newsundies.com. Thanks for watching. For all of us here at NewsUndies, until next time, I'm Paul Torville. After that, I might be working for Dick Jones. The aptly named Dick Jones. I just want to tell you good luck. We're all counting on you.